Imagine doing that dance with chains around your ankles and on a ship sailing in raging waters. According to an article published in History Today by the Library of Congress on the 25th of May, 2021, that dance was performed by enslaved black people in the early 1500s. They were forced to entertain their white captors. Entertain, of course, is just a cute way of saying they were laughed at and ridiculed. And after going through that kind of torture, even you would probably forget the dance and abandon it, even though you created it. A few years later, that dance evolved into what the article called a mixture of British and West African step dancing. In the early 1700s, the Americans stole the dance and called it jig and juba. Today, we all know this dance as tap dancing. And sure, white people are not flat-footed when they tap dance. In fact, they leap in the air and do all kinds of stunts these days. But anybody who is not chained can obviously leap in the air and do all kinds of stunts. Now, Team D will come here and tell you that the West brought everything from education to architecture to alcohol, but that isn't entirely true. Just like they slapped British to that West African dance, most times what the West does is to steal. The West knows your worth. They know that you have ideas, and so they steal it. They see your ideas, they laugh at your ideas, they make you feel you shouldn't have thought about them, then they make those ideas into theirs and sell it back to you as something else. Now, my beautiful lead speaker has defined innovation as the process of creating value by providing new solutions to existing problems. And by that definition, yes, the West is very innovative, but not more than Africa. If you look at the long list of innovations by Africa and compare that to that of the West, and then consider the fact that the West had our knowledge to learn from and also tried to stunt our growth in the modern times, you will agree with me that Africa is more innovative. And just in case it skipped your mind, slavery and colonialism is what we got when the West promised democracy. Division and hatred is what we got when the West promised the innovation called education. Now, if you will still give them all the credit after all you just heard, then maybe you should bleach. My name is MOFOPEFOLUWA ADEOLA. Thank you for listening.
Man's existence began to take shape and form with each new idea put into practice. And one could argue that the 21st century sense of human beings are but a product of innovation. Judges, ladies and gentlemen, to say that Africa is more innovative than the West would mean that Africa has created more solutions to the global problems, maximized and generated more economic opportunities, and has manufactured products for the betterment of the world than the Western countries. And to this, I say Africa has not. First problem, food insecurity. According to a 2020 report by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, 720 to 811 million people face hunger, with over 282 million living in Africa, a problem majorly caused by the lack of agricultural productivity and innovations, according to the same source. To alleviate this problem, one would have thought that Africa would create innovative ideas, perhaps to cultivate the arable lands and to create a good food system. However, that is not the case. African countries depend on the assistance of the Western world, like the United States, in providing innovations, foreign and food aids, according to a report by World Humanitarian. How then do we say Africa is more innovative when it depends on the West for its survival? Similarly, from an economic perspective, for a country or a region to be said to be innovative, according to Mark Dobb, a world-renowned economist, it must have years of solid investment in capital growth. And Africa is still struggling with this criterion, according to the World Bank. The Western world has fulfilled this criterion, and it's no brainer that the Western world is more innovative. Distinguished audience, my opponents might come to claim that Africa in ancient times have been progenitors of great ideas that has revolutionized the world. However, if they do, they'll be convinced they'll be mistaking creativity with being innovative, while the former is just an ideology, an infringement of imagination. Being innovative is the ability to translate that idea into reality. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, Allow me to reiterate that today's topic is not about a question of whether or not Africa has embraced innovation or produced a commodity of importance, but a question of whether or not Africa has introduced, created, or invented something that is new than the Western world. And to this, we say it has not, because it has not provided more solutions to the global problems, and it does not generate products of economic importance for humanity than the Western world. Thank you.